My fiancée posted about her last night of freedom with photos from a club sitting on another man's lap. I commented, "First night of freedom, actually." Then I changed my relationship status and tagged her dad. What happened next made local news. The wedding was in 9 days, around 11 p.m. I'm wrapping up a project when my phone starts buzzing. Instagram notifications. My fiancée Brianna posted to her story. Last night of freedom. The photo showed her straddling some dude's lap at what was clearly a club. His hands were on her waist. She was kissing his neck. I sat there staring at my phone for a solid minute. Then more photos rolled in. Her grinding on him doing body shots off her bridesmaids cheering them on. The last one, them making out full tongue, his hand up her dress. The caption said, "What happens at Bachelorette stays at Bachelorette." Yeah, except when you post it on social media. I screenshotted everything. Then I commented on the last photo. First night of freedom, actually. Wedding's off. I changed my relationship status to single. And here's the kicker. I tagged her dad, Raymond. I'm Jacob, 29 years old. A project manager. My life runs on logic, on data, on predictable outcomes. Brianna, my fiancée, is 27. She's in marketing, and her life runs on aesthetics, on perception, on her brand. We'd been together for 4 years. Or more accurately, I'd been with her while she'd been with her audience. Looking back now, the signs were all there, like small cracks in a foundation you choose to ignore until the whole house collapses. The wedding itself was the biggest red flag. It wasn't our wedding. It was her production. $80,000, every penny paid by her father, Raymond. He's a self-made man, owns a string of car dealerships, and his world is built on reputation. His one and only rule for the wedding was simple. He told her, in my presence, his voice low and serious, "Brianna, I don't care what you do, but there will be no embarrassments. My partners, their families, they will all be there. Do not make me look bad." That warning echoed in my mind as I stared at the screenshots on my phone. She was obsessed with appearances, with how our life looked to the outside world. My job was a point of contention. She never called it a bad job, not directly. The insults were more subtle. At dinner parties, when someone asked what I did, she'd jump in before I could answer. "He's in tech." She'd say a vague, sanitized summary that erased the grit and complexity of my actual work. It was as if being a project manager wasn't a prestigious enough title for her brand. Her friends were a reflection of her aspirations. They all dated surgeons, lawyers, guys who owned restaurant chains. Our life was constantly being measured against theirs. "Megan's boyfriend just leased her a new Mercedes," she'd say, scrolling through Instagram. "Don't you think my old BMW looks a little dated?" It was never about what we had. It was about what we didn't have compared to her curated feed. I tried. I really did. I planned date nights, bought her thoughtful gifts. I once found a beautiful handcrafted necklace from a local artist. She smiled for the photo, posted it with a gushing caption about supporting local businesses, and then I never saw her wear it again. 2 weeks later, she tagged me in a post of a Cartier bracelet. The message was always clear. My efforts were appreciated only as content, but they weren't good enough in reality unless they came with a recognizable brand name. She was building a life based on a fantasy, and she expected me to finance it both literally and emotionally. I just didn't realize until that night that I wasn't just a supporting character in her story. I was the disposable part of the set, easily replaced the moment I stopped fitting the aesthetic. The party wasn't a mistake. It was a market test for her next upgrade. Within 5 minutes, my phone exploded. Brianna calling, her friends calling, random numbers I didn't recognize. I didn't answer a single one. I simply turned it off, the sudden silence in my car, feeling more powerful than all their frantic noise. The drive home was the calmest I'd felt in months. My mind, usually a chaotic mess of project deadlines and wedding logistics, was suddenly crystal clear. I wasn't emotional. I was executing a plan. The betrayal wasn't a tragedy. It was a data point that required a new course of action. The next morning, I woke up to someone laying on my doorbell, not just ringing it, leaning on it, a continuous, desperate buzz that echoed through the apartment. I knew who it was. I opened the door to find Brianna's mom, Denise, with Brianna standing just behind her shoulder. Bri looked rough. Her makeup from the night before was smeared down her face. She was still in her club dress, and she was crying. But they weren't tears of remorse. They were tears of frustration. Denise screamed before I could even say a word. "How dare you humiliate my daughter like that?" I kept my voice even. She humiliated herself. I just pointed it out. Brianna tried to push past her mom, the performance starting. Maybe it meant nothing. It was just fun. All brides do this. I raised an eyebrow. All brides make out with random dudes and post it online. You're overreacting. It was just dancing. I pulled up the screenshots on my phone, holding the screen up for them to see. I zoomed in on the last photo, the one with his hand up her dress. This is just dancing. Denise actually gasped. She took a step back, and for a split second, I saw a flicker of shame in her eyes. Even she couldn't defend that. But it vanished as quickly as it appeared, replaced by a desperate need for damage control. Delete those right now, she demanded. The wedding is in 9 days. I looked past her directly at Brianna. What wedding? That's when Brianna dropped the act. The tears stopped. Her face hardened. You already paid for everything. You can't cancel now. Do you know how this will make me look? And there it was. Not, I'm sorry. Not, I made a mistake. Just pure, uncut narcissism, worried only about her public image. She wasn't sorry she cheated. She was sorry she got caught. I let out a small, humorless laugh. That's Raymond's problem, not mine. He paid for it all, remember? You were the one who insisted Daddy handle everything. Denise's face went white. She knew I was right. She knew I just handed the $80,000 problem right back to the man who funded it. They left after she threatened to sue me for emotional damages. I just closed the door. Good luck with that. I spent the next few hours in a state of productive calm. Then my phone rang. The caller ID said, Raymond. I took a deep breath and answered. His voice was gravelly tired. Son, I need to know. Did she really do what those photos show? I didn't say a word. I just sent him everything. The screenshots, the short video clips her friends had so stupidly posted. All of it. The evidence. There was a long silence on the other end of the line. So long I thought he might have hung up. Then I heard him take a deep, ragged breath. I'm pulling the entire wedding fund, he said, his voice firm. Now all business. Every penny I can get back, I'm taking. She can figure out the rest. Raymond, you don't have to. He cut me off. Yes, I do. I raised her better than this. Her mother enabled this behavior for too long. I'm done. He hung up. The first domino had fallen, and it was exactly the one I had aimed for. But her counterattack didn't come through lawyers, at least not at first. It came through the one weapon. She truly understood the media. 3 hours after her mother threatened to sue me, I got a text from my buddy Rick. Dude, turn on channel 7. I switched on the TV and there she was, Brianna. But it wasn't the club-going enraged Brianna I'd seen that morning. This was a different character entirely. She was wearing a conservative high-necked blouse, her hair pulled back neatly with almost no makeup. She was crying softly into a tissue as the sympathetic reporter listened with a furrowed brow. She painted a masterpiece of deception. She spoke of how I betrayed her trust by weaponizing social media against her. She claimed I was controlling and abusive for not letting her have one night of harmless fun with her girlfriends. The reporter, completely captivated, ate it up. The segment was titled, Groom's Social Media Revenge Goes Too Far. Yeah, I was the bad guy now. The villain for calling off my wedding after catching my fiancée with another man's tongue down her throat on the internet. It was a bold narrative choice, I had to admit. Later that day, the second wave of her assault arrived at my door. It was her bridesmaids, Chloe, Madison, and Jackie. They stood in my hallway like some kind of intervention squad, their arms crossed, expressions grim. We need to talk about your toxic masculinity, Chloe began, without any preamble. I actually blinked. My what now? Madison, who looked slightly uncomfortable, jumped in. You're punishing Bri for expressing her sexuality. It's 2024. Women are allowed to have fun. I kept my voice calm. She can have all the fun she wants. She just can't do it as my fiancé. Then Jackie tried the guilt trip. Do you know how many people already bought plane tickets? My grandma is flying in from Florida. Sounds like a personal problem, I said. That's when Brianna, who had been hiding behind them, stepped forward. The victim act was gone. Her eyes were cold. If you don't take me back, she said, her voice low and venomous, I'll tell everyone you hit me. The hallway went dead silent. Even her friends looked shocked. Chloe whispered her name, a horrified little sound. Bri, you can't say things like that. Why not? She hissed, her eyes locked on mine. He's ruining my life. I deserve. I didn't let her finish. I didn't yell. I didn't argue. I simply pulled my phone out of my pocket, unlocked it, and hit the record button. I held it up, the small red light glowing in the dim hallway. "Say that again on camera," I said quietly. She stared at the phone, then at me. The threat evaporated from her face, replaced by pure, unadulterated rage. She let out a choked sound, turned, and stormed off down the hall. Her friends followed, but as Madison passed me, she stopped for a fraction of a second and whispered, "For what it's worth, I told her not to post those photos." Then she was gone too. I stood there for a long moment, the recording still running. I had survived the counterattack. But I knew with absolute certainty that the war was far from over. The news segment backfired spectacularly. See, Brianna forgot one crucial detail. The internet exists. Within hours, someone found her now deleted Instagram posts. The screenshots are forever. They started appearing in the comments section of the news station's Facebook page, one after another, a digital flood of truth. The comments were brutal, harmless fun. She was basically dry humping him. She posted it publicly, and he's wrong for responding, "Play stupid games, win stupid prizes." Channel 7 really ran this without fact-checking. The tide of public opinion didn't just turn. It became a tsunami, and it was heading right for her. But the best part, the truly poetic part, was something I could never have planned. The guy from the club, the one whose neck she was kissing, he saw the news segment. Or rather, his wife did. His name is Tyler, and he's married. His wife saw the broadcast, recognized her husband immediately, and went nuclear on their joint Facebook account. She posted everything. Apparently, Brianna hadn't just made a drunken mistake. She'd executed a plan. She gave Tyler her number. They'd been texting for 2 days after the party. She told him she was in an open relationship and her wedding was just for show because her fiancé me was rich. Rich, I'm a project manager at a tech company. I do fine, but rich. That was hilarious. She'd even sent him nudes. His wife posted the screenshots for the world to see. Brianna's attempt to manipulate public opinion had backfired spectacularly. And it was in that moment that I realized a greater truth about power in this era. The interesting thing about this story is how justice was served. Initially, the stage for the humiliation was a room with 30 silent, awkward guests. There, Brianna was the one in control. But then the stage moved to a more powerful space, social media. This is the very nature of the modern court of public opinion. The 30 people at the party might be influenced by social connections, but the thousands of people watching a video online are not. They become an objective jury judging solely on the clear evidence. The video clips of Brianna's tirade were the undeniable exhibits. This story shows an important truth of the 21st century power no longer belongs only to those with titles or money, but also to those who hold digital evidence. In a world where everything can be recorded, your actions are your final legacy and anyone can become the judge. The local news station, facing immense backlash for their one-sided reporting, did a follow-up segment that evening. This time, their star guest was Tyler's wife. She brought receipts, the texts, the photos, everything. The narrative changed in the blink of an eye from controlling groom to cheating bride caught red-handed. Brianna's Instagram went private. Then it was deleted. Her Facebook page vanished. She had tried to play the media game, but she wasn't just outplayed. She was annihilated by the very tools she thought she had mastered. The queen of social media had been dethroned in a public execution, and her own posts were the guillotine. With her public image in flames, Brianna tried to salvage what she could, but every move she made just dug her deeper into the hole she'd created. First, she tried to save the wedding, or at least the money. Since Daddy had cut her off, she created a GoFundMe page with the title, "Help Me Save My Dream Wedding After Public Humiliation." She raised exactly $47. Someone donated $2 with the comment, "For therapy." Then she pivoted. If she couldn't have the wedding, she'd take everything else. She started telling people, "We had a verbal agreement that I was supposed to pay her back for the emotional labor she'd invested in our relationship. 3 years of supporting me, apparently valued at $50,000. When that didn't work, she went after my job. She emailed my boss claiming I was harassing her and creating a hostile work environment. We don't even work together." My boss, who'd already seen the news coverage, just forwarded me the email with a single line. "You dodged a missile, not a bullet." But the peak of her insanity came that Thursday. I was at the grocery store when I got a call from my apartment complex. "Someone tried to break into your unit. Security caught them." It was Brianna and some guy I'd never seen before. She had told security she was my wife and had lost her key. The guy was supposedly a locksmith she'd hired, except he was just her cousin Derek, and his locksmith tool was a crowbar. Security had already called the cops. I went down to the station and pressed charges for attempted breaking and entering. At the station, she played every card she had. She claimed she'd left important medication inside. She's never taken medication in her life. She claimed her grandmother's ashes were in there. Both of her grandmothers are very much alive. She even claimed I'd stolen her emotional support animal. We have no pets. The cop taking her statement looked so tired. "Ma'am," he said, "you just gave 3 different reasons." "Because I'm traumatized," she sobbed. Derek, meanwhile, threw her under the bus immediately. She said it was her apartment, and she'd pay me $500 to get her stuff back. I didn't know about any of this drama. The strange thing was none of her friends were there to bail her out. Her mom, Denise, eventually showed up looking exhausted and angry, and that's when I understood something fundamental about the world she had built around herself. It wasn't real. The reason Brianna's life collapsed so quickly is because of something called social capital. There are 2 types. There's bonding capital, which is built on real trust and genuine affection, like my friends who would help me move a body, no questions asked. Then there's bridging capital, which is built on surface-level relationships, on image, and on mutual benefit. Brianna's entire network was bridging capital. Her friends were people who came to the parties I paid for, who admired the car I leased for her, who connected with her for opportunities. The moment the foundation of money and image that I provided disappeared, her social capital evaporated. Those friends didn't betray her, they just acted according to the true nature of their relationship. When the benefit is gone, the connection ends. It's a hard lesson on the danger of building a life on shallow ground instead of on genuine human connection. That night, I got a message on Instagram. It was from Madison, the bridesmaid, who had whispered that she'd told Brianna not to post the photos. "Hey," she wrote, "I know you have no reason to talk to me, but I wanted to apologize for that day in the hallway. I should have spoken up more. We all should have. But honestly, she's always been like this. She doesn't have friends. She has an audience. When the show's over, the audience goes home." Her words were the final confirmation. Brianna wasn't just losing her wedding. She was losing a game she didn't even know she was playing, and she was the only piece left on the board. The wedding day came and went. I spent it at a bar with my boys watching football and eating wings. It was the best Saturday I'd had in months. But Brianna, she had different plans. She showed up at the venue, the one we were supposed to get married in. She was in the dress, the $8,000 one her daddy had paid for. She even brought a photographer. See, she couldn't get any of the deposits back, so the venue was still technically booked under her father's name. She decided to have her wedding anyway, alone. She did a full photo shoot. There are pictures of her walking down the aisle to an empty altar. Pictures of her fake cutting the 5-tiered cake by herself. Pictures of her having the first dance with an invisible groom. The works. The venue staff were so uncomfortable they eventually called Raymond. He showed up, and from what the catering manager later told my buddy, he absolutely lost his mind. "You're embarrassing yourself and our family," he yelled, his voice echoing in the empty ballroom. "I deserve my special day," she apparently screamed back. "He stole it from me. He stole it. You couldn't keep your tongue in your mouth for 9 days." Raymond left, but not before telling the venue staff to box up all $80,000 worth of food and donate it to the local homeless shelter. At least someone benefited from the disaster. The photographer who hadn't been paid up front left halfway through when he realized no one was going to be paying him. But not before posting a few of the shots to his Instagram with the caption, "Weirdest gig ever. Bride no groom. Still wanted couples photos. I can't make this up." Those went viral too. Brianna holding her own hand, Brianna slow dancing with the air, Brianna toasting to nobody. It was tragic and hilarious all at once. She became a meme overnight. While her life was becoming a public tragedy, mine was quietly getting better. I got a promotion at work. Turns out being the guy who dodged the crazy bride makes you something of a legend in the office. I moved to a better apartment in a different part of town. No memories there. I started rock climbing again, a hobby Brianna had always hated. "It's too dangerous," she used to say. What she meant was it wasn't a hobby she could post about on Instagram. And I got a dog. A rescue pit bull named Diesel. Brianna was allergic, or so she claimed. The truth was, she just didn't like anything that would take attention away from her. But the best part, the moment that felt like the universe giving me a final satisfying nod, happened last week. I was at a coffee shop, and Raymond walked in. He saw me, hesitated for a second, then walked over. He bought my coffee and sat down. We talked for a few minutes, just small talk. As he was getting up to leave, he put a hand on my shoulder. You know, he said with a sad little smile, I was planning to give you both a house as a wedding gift. Dodged that bullet too, didn't you? We actually laughed about it. The final tally of the fallout was devastating for her. Her parents, Raymond and Denise, are getting divorced after 31 years of marriage. He blamed her for creating a monster. She blamed him for abandoning their daughter. Tyler, the guy from the club his wife divorced him. Last I heard, he's living in his brother's garage and paying alimony. And Brianna, she's living with her friend Jackie, working at a makeup counter in the mall. Still telling anyone who will listen that I abused her and ruined her life over nothing. She had the perfect life in her grasp, and she set it on fire for a few moments of validation from a stranger in a club. I didn't destroy her world. I just stepped out of the way and let her live in the one she had built for herself. Last week, I got a text from an unknown number. I'm sorry for everything. I know you'll never forgive me, but I wanted you to know I'm in therapy now. I realize I have a lot of issues to work through. I hope you find happiness. It was Brianna. For a moment, I almost felt a pang of something. Pity, maybe. But then I remembered the coldness in her eyes when she threatened to accuse me of abuse. I didn't respond. I just forwarded it to my lawyer, a final piece of documentation in a file I hope to never open again. The real closure, however, came from an unexpected place. Madison, one of the bridesmaids, reached out. Not for Brianna, but for herself. She wanted to apologize for her part in that hallway ambush. We grabbed coffee. She looked tired, drained. I've been questioning our friendship for months, she admitted, stirring her latte. This whole thing just confirmed it. She then told me a story from 2 years ago. Brianna had hooked up with Madison's then-boyfriend, and when confronted, had gaslit her so completely that Madison ended up apologizing to her. She showed me texts from their group chat on the night of the Bachelorette party. She was the only one saying, maybe don't post these pics, while the others egged Brianna on. It wasn't an excuse, but it was an explanation. It confirmed that I wasn't an isolated incident. I was just the latest casualty in a long pattern of destructive behavior. We're not dating or anything, but we've hung out a few times. She's actually cool when she's not enabling Brianna's nonsense. As for me, life's good. My promotion at work is solid. The story of what happened has made me a legend at the office, the guy who dodged a nuclear warhead. I've moved on. But this whole experience leaves you with a question. The story is satisfying because I ended up succeeding. My career took off. Her life fell apart. But what if it hadn't? What if my revenge wasn't sweet? Let's imagine another scenario. What if, after I left, my projects failed? What if I struggled financially for a long time? Would my decision still have been the right one? The answer is yes. Absolutely yes. We are so often blinded by what's called outcome bias, judging a decision as right or wrong based only on its results. But the true value of what I did wasn't in getting a promotion or seeing her become a meme. The value was in the moment I chose my own self-respect over her toxic validation. The success of leaving isn't measured by a bank account, it's measured by the peace you reclaim for your own soul. No matter what happened afterward, the act of defending my own boundaries, my own dignity, was a victory in itself. The business success was just a nice bonus. The real win happened the second I commented on that photo and walked out of her life. I don't think about her much anymore. Last I heard, she was dating some gym bro who thinks her ex-me was just intimidated by her free spirit. Good luck with that gym bro. You're going to need it. Thanks for following this insane journey. I'm going to go live my best life now with my dog, my sanity, and my tongue staying in my own mouth where it belongs. Peace out. Done with the script.